Welcome everyone to the Howl podcast, where we feature individuals from various backgrounds who have captivating stories to tell, and our goal is to bring people together by sharing diverse perspectives and experiences to inspire positive change in the world. And today I'm your host, Juan Raimundo Ramos, and I'm getting used to hosting, being one of the hosts of the Howl. I'm kind of, it's not something I would imagine myself doing like a few years back. And today we are thrilled to welcome Rasec Marc to the Howl podcast, who was a guest in season 1, where Nick was the host. And for those of you who haven't seen Rasec Marc's episode, a little bit about Rasec. Rasec is an aspiring musician and songwriter based in Los Angeles, known for his incredible talent as a music composer, singer, and producer. And he has gained a reputation as a rising star in the music industry with a unique sound that blends elements of pop, rock, and acoustic. And he's been making waves in the music world with his latest releases, including hit singles like 4 Days, Conclusions, Hurts, and Never Good Enough. And in addition to his own music, Rasec has also produced the latest single of singers Kenneth Lorente and Clarence, called Sayona, which has received amazing feedback from a lot of the Filipino community, and also has gained thousands of streams on major streaming platforms like Spotify. And with that introduction, we're excited to hear more about Rasec's journey and insights into the world of music on the Howl podcast. So without further ado, welcome Rasec Marc to the Howl podcast season 2.
Wow, Juantonimo, what an intro. I love that. I feel honored, I feel grateful, and I feel excited to be here and having a chat with you like we always do, but this time it's being recorded.
Yes, and it's interesting because I think the last time we had the episode with you was actually recorded in your studio, in your location, with a black background with Nick, and Nick did a phenomenal job with that. Yes, absolutely, good times. And we definitely learned a lot from you. And then for those of you listeners who haven't heard the season 1, we dealt a lot about, the music industry, but also, Rasec and his story and how he started with music. So today we'll dive a little bit more into that, but in this season 2, we've been trying to focus more on, advice for listeners and things that people can really take away from the guests that we have. So we've been getting a lot of musicians in this season, including Seth Charleston and Ada Nicole Sanger, and Rasec Marc again. So very excited to have you here, Rasec.
Woohoo.
So without further ado,
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, let's dive straight into it. So yeah, since your last episode of The Howl, I think that was 2019 or 2020, can you share with us your journey, from 2019 to now? Are you still a solo artist like you said before?
Yes, I am still a solo artist and a producer still. But now there's a new hat that I have been noticing I've been wearing more often now, and that's a film composer. And speaking of film composing, Sayona is one of the original soundtrack of Tahanan, but the entire movie of Tahanan, directed by Nicholas Barber and Juantonimo, both of them are the writers to that movie. I composed the entire film for the movie that they did.
Absolutely. Yes. And that show, or that film per se, has been getting a lot of traction in terms of the film festival runs. In LA, it got the grand prize best feature in the Culver City, it got in TCL Chinese Theater's Golden State Film Festival, and that's been such an amazing process. And we're still, we're still going through the film festival runs, and it would not have been the same without music composing, and Rasec Marc did such an amazing job with that. But I believe that you also did a few films in the past, composing wise. Can you talk about that?
I did one of the previous projects that you did as well. It's called Darkness Dwells. I was like my first horror movie film thing that I did, and also a bunch of commercials that you did for other companies. You had me compose to those commercials too. Yeah, those are like the only things that I could think of on the top of my head because they're like associated to you as well. So yeah.
Always the Howling Gale and Rasec Marc collaborations in terms of project making. So yeah, since 2019, that's when we actually started the Howl podcast, and then a year later, or actually during the same year, COVID hit, right? I think we made a film called Lifeline before, and then we attended a festival for that, and then all of a sudden the world just decided to shut down, and it impacted so many industries in many ways. So I wanted to ask you about that. So how has the COVID-19 pandemic impact your music career? Did it help you or did it not help you? Or
So during the lockdown, it actually was a good thing for me because here in LA specifically, in the entertainment industry, there is so much pressure for young adults like you and me to like keep on grinding, to keep on being the best that we could do, like put out as much content as you possibly can. But that entire lockdown was like a much needed pause for me, like it was like a full permission to let me just sit, rest, and be still. And so mentally, it has really helped me to just rest and then sharpen my axe at the same time.
Do you think you've grown, from that break at all? Because a lot of people, mentioned in the past that, you're grinding so hard for a certain goal, you're working so much for a career, but they say that, some of them say that, maybe rest from time to time is such a necessary thing for you to just, regain that traction. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, for sure. Because during the lockdown as well, it didn't mean that I stopped doing music. I still kept on doing music, but that was out of fun now, and it was not for work or any amount of content that I need to or any amount of quota of content that I need to put out. So, it was all for fun, and I've definitely grown so much more because I was literally just having fun playing music.
Absolutely. Yeah, can you share with us what new projects or songs you've created since 2019? Maybe, just as a solo artist, but also like collaborations with other artists?
Wow, so many. But the top of the list that I could think of right now are the music videos that I did with Howling Gale. It's several videos. It started off with Let's Fall in Love. There's a music video to that. They shot it as well. Hurts, Conclusions, 4 Days, Let's Be Confusing, Never Good Enough. That was like a lot of projects and music videos that we did during the entire lockdown. And at the same time, there were many, many songs that I had to do for other people as well. They would come up to me with a demo recording of like just the guitar and their vocals, and then I have to, turn all of that into a full track, and it would then be radio ready for their release. And so many collaborations, so many songs that I did with Clarence as well. I did basically all of her songs, produced it, and did a lot of the songwriting with her as well. And Seth, even with Seth, dang, we haven't really released songs together, but we have stayed here in my studio and had fun with a bunch of songs that are so good, honestly, but unfortunately are just sitting on the shelf right now.
We gotta release those. We gotta release those things that are on the shelf.
Soon. One of those songs
Yes.
is with you.
Absolutely. And I love it when people are collaborating with one another, whether it's the music industry or other industries, and all like-minded and very talented people. Like you mentioned Clarence and you mentioned Seth. They're both so good, in their their
yes.
artistry.
Oh,
you know?
yeah.
Amazing singers, amazing songwriters, and also amazing musicians as a whole. So How have you grown and developed as a musician since your last appearance on the Howl in 2019, and what lessons have you learned along the way since then?
Wow. So, mainly the lessons that I have learned were not necessarily directed towards like music, but it was more of like concepts and statements that would resonate my entire internal being as a person, that just ultimately develops my character, which would then, as a result, affect the way I write and make music as well. So, yeah, like concepts of the ability to be still, to allow yourself to rest. It's not always about grinding. It's not always about chopping the tree with your axe, but it is also about sharpening your axe and letting yourself not succumb to the pressure that LA has to offer, you know?
Yeah.
It's just finding that those contrasts in grinding hard as much as you can, but at the same time, on the opposite side, on the contrast part of that, is to also allow yourself to get good rest, which includes, because this was one of the struggles that I had to go through. I would set a day for me to rest, but as I would sit on the couch and do nothing, my mind is running wild. I'm thinking of things to do, emails to send, messages to respond to. I'm not necessarily resting when I am in that state, but I really have to learn to give myself full permission to rest mentally. And that practice has helped me develop so much more as a person and as a music creator.
Do you ever get moments of, self-doubt or feeling like, even after all these years of working with music and, working as an artist, do you ever get those self-doubt moments and moments where you feel like you want to quit? In your head, maybe like it's not necessarily like something you're going to do right away, but like it's still in the back of your mind from time to time because of the hard work and struggle you have to overcome.
When will that feeling ever go away? For me, I feel like many creative people could relate to this, but we're always going to be critical of ourselves. And there's always going to be doubt. And there will always be the season of you questioning your own abilities. And I think that's a normal thing. So, yes, I do have moments of doubt. I do have seasons of rain. But here's the thing. What I have learned all throughout, and the difference that I used to treat this doubt is so much more different than I used to view it before. Before, I would succumb to these intrusive thoughts, and I would just drown in all of these thoughts that I am making up in my head. But now, I would still have moments of doubt, but this time, they don't consume me as much. They don't control me. They don't dictate my decisions. And I still go and take the leap of faith, despite the doubts that I do get from time to time.
Love that. And on a positive note, on the other side, what keeps you going? What keeps you motivated and inspired to write, music? What gives you inspiration to now write music for films and for other producers and for other productions and other artists?
What keeps me inspired? I feel like that lack of choice for me is what the ultimate inspiration is. I am one of those people who are just blessed to find something that I enjoy truly, truly in life, and I chose to dive headfirst into this conquest of making music and creating something out of thin air for people to hear and for people to emotionally invoke them into like an era that they may have not experienced, you know, but yet the emotion they have is so real. And during these moments of doubt, so many times I would remind myself, why would I keep on going? And what I have found out, what I keep telling myself, what I keep reminding myself is that apart from my music, I am also trying to send a message, mainly to maybe my future children. And I want them to know that when, I don't know, when teenage years hit and they go through some sort of difficulties in life, some challenges in life, they would look at their dad and understand that their dad actually pushed through. He actually went for something that he wanted to do, and he chose to go for it. He chose to go for the difficult path, the path of uncertainty. And I feel like that's also going to inspire them to you know, like, to go ahead and face the hurdles that they are going through. And
Absolutely.
so yeah, that's just the message that I want to give to people, is really to take the leap of faith and just keep going.
Yes, and I definitely agree with that. And there will be moments of, you know, self-doubt, a lot of moments where you feel like you're lost. At the end of the day, I think things just take time. You know, there was an episode a few episodes ago with Ada Nicole Sanger. She was talking about the 10,000 hours, you know, to be really good at what you do. And I think that's so true. And I also wanted to say that things do take time. And at the same time, for me, it's not just like doing those 10,000 hours the same way. I think that, you know, the 10,000 hours should also mean that you're progressing in those 10,000 hours. But at the same time, like you said, along that path, that same path, there's a lot of struggles that go with it. There's a lot of, you know,
Oh yeah.
times where you're not motivated. There are a lot of times where people are going to criticize you for what you do and are going to be basically like not as supportive. There will be supporters of yours, and there's also the other side who are not supportive of what you're doing.
Oh yeah.
And yeah, do you ever get those criticisms from either yourself or other people, you know, whenever you're writing songs or whenever you're going on, let's say, you know, a music performance live or like online? Do you ever get those feedback, those negative feedback from other peers, so from other people? And if
Oh,
so,
yeah.
yeah, and then how do you deal with that? I believe I've asked this question to actually, you know, a few musicians from the Howl, and they all had different answers. So I wanted to, you know, ask you what your take on it.
I feel like life is like a video game. In a video game, you would know that you are heading the right path when there are enemies in front of it. Because sometimes in the video game, you could go around in circles, you don't really know where to go. But the path that doesn't have those enemies, you're just literally in the same spot that you've already finished, you know. But for you to go up to the next level, the indicator of what the next level is when there are enemies there. So I'm not saying that these people are my enemies. I'm not saying that, but these are criticisms. These are the things that other people notice that you are not, that is not your forte, basically. And the way I see it is just painful truth that you just have to acknowledge, and for you to these are just painful truths for you to acknowledge and use that knowledge to make yourself better. And it's not really something that deters you from pushing forward in the career that you are pursuing. So yes, I grew up with so much criticism. I've been told that I can't so many times, and yet I pushed and I persisted, and dang, boy, am I so proud of this place, this position that I am in right now. And that is because despite all of the criticisms that I have received before, I still chose to go for it.
And I think that's the key, is just to never give up and just to keep, following your lane. So I imagine, like, when I'm driving, there's a lot of distractions that are happening, around me. But the roads in front of you have to keep staying in your lane, right? So
Yeah.
that's just how I see it. I think that it's important for artists or other people to realize that, people have success, or people, become successful because they're staying in their lane. How do you define success as a musician? I think I asked Clarence and Kenneth this before, and they had an interesting take on it. But everyone has a different version of success. I wanted to ask what your version of success was as a musician or artist.
Bro, I think I'm successful now. Actually, I am successful now. I am living the dream. I am living the life. I get to do what I love full time. And I get to collaborate with so many talented artists. And I get to work on these delicate ideas that they have, that they care for so much. And they trust me enough to water these seeds that they have planted, and let it grow into a tree, into a tangible song that they are going to use for their releases and their performances and their concerts. I'm darn successful now. I have an amazing wife. I have an amazing environment. I have an amazing set of friends that support me and love me. Man, I am unstoppable. I'm successful right now. I do have numbers and level of status, or an amount of fame that I do have, like, in the future, but that's not really success. That's just a level for me to grow up into. But now is success. Now is the dream. I'm living it. Right now I just have to, just go on this journey, really. I'm enjoying the journey so much.
Yeah, definitely love to hear that from you. And talk about your collaborations with other artists that you mentioned. I remember you just said about, performing with other live artists or live bands, or, collaborations with other musicians. Yeah, talk a little bit more about, about those collaborations over the years.
One of the fun things that I did not too long ago was I opened up for Ben and Ben. And oh my gosh, meeting all of them, they were so nice people. They were such amazing people. And also the crowd, I was touched by the crowd, because I was able to make this connection with them, and they were responding with me so well. And I was really just touched that, they were willing to have fun with me. And so many artists, there's one artist that I could think of right now. Her name is Antoinette Targa. Mm-hmm. She's from Ontario, Canada. She did a song. Her first single that she released was a song that I produced for. I produced her first single that she was going to release, and she was a very young girl of like 15 or 16. But dang, boy, was she such an amazing singer. Her voice was it sounded so mature, and the way she thinks as well. It's, oh my gosh. I was just happy to witness such support from parents towards a girl who is about to bloom even further, despite being in a level where it's like where you're already so impressed.
I love that, and I want to say congratulations on the Ben and Ben gig. That's so huge. That's such an
It
amazing.
was fun.
Yeah, it looked fun. I really wanted to go to that, but I wasn't able to, sadly. But next time you go on a Ben and Ben, or maybe like an Ed Sheeran concert when you're gonna open up for Ed Sheeran, I don't know,
Dang.
hit me up. Don't even
What a
surprise me.
dream.
Let me know the first day you find out about that. Yeah, I want to segue a little bit more into, the realities of being an artist, right? The more of the difficulties of being an artist, and how difficult it is to maintain, to pursue that passion. And I know I can speak for myself as a filmmaker. It's a lot of blood, sweat, and tears, and definitely a lot of money involved and financial instability for some people, because a lot of them, or a lot of people want to, really pursue a craft, whether it's music or art or anything, but it really costs money for some of those people. They have to go to school, they have to like invest in a lot of equipment, like I imagine investing in a lot of microphones, or a lot of studio time. You have to pay for your songs and engineers and mixing and mastering and everything, right? Yeah, can you talk about that and your experience with, I guess the financial stability in the music industry, how it's like, and also how you've been able to balance all that over the years?
For me, I chose my struggle. I know that I could work a job, something more stable, but would require a lot of my time. Therefore, I do get the money, but not enough time or motivation to do music. That's one path right there. There's another path where I could choose to be broke and not to really go for the stable job, but I could try and look for as many gigs as I can, and also have the time to work on music. I chose that path. I chose that struggle to let myself be broke, to let myself fail, to let myself have more problems about the money that I am going to use, rather than have the money but not the time to work on music. And I believe that whatever path you choose, you will still have struggles. There will still be excuses, but you have to pick which one you want to face more. And I'm glad I chose the path that I chose. I'm not saying one is right over the other. I'm just saying that for me, I chose this path, and I did get my butt kicked by life, but like the longer you just work on, you just go through your journey, go through the challenge that you are facing, life in time will reveal its beauty to you. And so now, like, I'm not broke anymore. I'm doing fine, and I get to do this full time. Like, this is now my full-time job. So the financial stability, there's no financial stability everywhere, really. It's just, you pick what you do with your time.
Absolutely.
Choose the
And
struggle.
choose that, yes. And there's nothing that I really love the fact that when people are pursuing the passions, and their passions are funding their passions, right? Because especially in the beginning, when they have no resources, sometimes they just feel lost and they don't know where to go. But as soon as they hit that place in their life where their passion is being self-funded, that's such an amazing thing, I think.
Yeah.
And for those people who are struggling with their arts or struggling with their music, due to whatever reason, whether it's financial or whatever, they're just having their mental block for that passion. How do you, or what advice would you give to those people to stay motivated and to continue pursuing their craft?
Here's what I want to say. I don't want you to think that your challenges and your struggles are evidence of why you should quit. These are just struggles, these are growing pains. Imagine it's like there's this metaphor, like I like going to the gym, and when I go to the gym I intentionally let myself hurt. Like I work out until my muscles get shredded, and that's when I know I actually did some work at the gym. If I went to the gym and I did not feel some sort of pain, did I really work out? So I feel like in the beginning of your pursuit for music or any arts in general, there's always going to be these painful moments. But these painful moments should not be the reason why you quit. They're just really evidences of you growing and leveling up to the person who is going to be capable of more. So if you are facing challenges, you're going through things right now, please just keep going. Just keep at it, because you are growing and you are becoming better without you even knowing.
Absolutely. And I totally agree with that. And one of the things for me is, I've had that mindset in the past where I feel like quitting filmmaking and quitting, everything I've done just out of the blue, just because, of some struggles and lack of motivation in some ways with my previous projects or whatnot. But I think one of the things that really kept me going was, a sense of community and a sense of, a strong support system along the way. And just being lucky to have, friends and family who are very supportive, who are basically there, to either guide or just support in whatever way they can. Would you say that, given the fact that you're a musician and you have a following on your own who are listening to your music, would you say that that's such an important key to keep going, to have a community and support system around you to kind of rally behind your back?
Oh yeah, oh definitely. I think life in general, you need people. I think all of us are made for each other. And I really don't believe in the statement where like people like animals more than people. I like people more, and I live for people. I live in this earth to not only serve myself, but also serve the people around me. I want to live a life of service. And it's always gonna be for people, and having that community, when you have that mentality of really wanting to serve people are also gonna serve you back. You're gonna have friends who will support you. You're gonna have a community filled with love and support, and that's also ultimately that's what makes life so beautiful. It's the people around you. It's us,
Absolutely, and I totally agree with that. And I want to give a shout out to people who are just by themselves, who feel like they're alone, who stay motivated despite, not necessarily having, a big support system. And I think, just having a self-support system is also important, having that self-motivation too.
It has to start there for sure. It has to start there. Yeah, you gotta love yourself. And in time, as you are staying in your lane, pursuing what you want, you will find like-minded people who will share this beautiful this beautiful journey called life.
Absolutely. And would you say that over the years, since your last episode of The Howl, would you say that as a musician or an artist, you've gotten significantly better or worse? Like, how have you evolved over the years?
Oh yeah, I've significantly grown as a person. Everything that I do towards music, whether it's playing the guitar, singing bass, producing, what decisions to make as far as what tools to use. Like, I have grown so much, and ultimately the life and struggles that I share with other people also shapes me to become a better person, of like a person of character, and has a message to stand for, and ultimately, like, that's what it's all about for me. So yes, and I've already said this. I think I'm darn successful right now, and I would not say that before, but now I'm just really in a position where I am very proud of, and there's gonna be more to come, more struggles, I'm sure, bigger challenges waiting ahead of me. But let's do it. I'm ready.
Let's do it. I'm very excited for your future projects and your future, works with other people. So yeah, I wanted to ask you about those. So can you share about any upcoming projects you're gonna work on, or have already recorded, or is it all in the secrets for now?
Nah, I'm willing to share them. So for the past few months, I've been focusing on doing projects for other people. I've been focusing on doing their songs for them. But what I am very excited to announce is that this year I will be releasing my own stuff now. Apart from doing things for other people, I will be releasing more of my own songs now. So I'm excited for that.
Very excited for that, and hopefully more music videos are gonna come your way, right?
Oh yeah, for sure. Oh yeah, that's a given for sure. I have the best video team, so that's a given.
Absolutely. And I wanted to ask about, the project we just created together, Tahanan. And that's just such a special project for me, because it speaks, in a lot of ways, and it talks a lot about home, and a lot about the Filipino community, and also the Filipino culture. So yeah, I wanted to ask you, what was it like, or how was it like working as the music composer for that film? And it's such a big role, right? How was it like?
It is. I know. Yeah. I mean, I've had to make decisions I've never really made before. I've never really thought of like, where or when do I start the music? Am I going to compose music for a scene that is very sensitive, or am I just gonna leave it, like having no music and just let the acting shine? Like, these are things that I've never really thought about. And also I have to, so in one of the scenes there was a piano player in the background, and I have to look at his hands and and he was like mimicking, like playing the piano, but he was not really playing the piano in real life. I had to look at his arms and start composing something that would just sync to his movement. That was fun. It was a lot of work, but
Definitely
so much fun.
Yes.
I had to learn jazz for that, actually. Learned a little bit of jazz for that scene.
Yeah, so guys, listeners, you have to watch it very soon, because the music in there is so amazing because of Rasec. And yeah, given that you worked on a feature film, right, as a music composer, would you say that this is something you're gonna do in the distant future? I know you're working on your own brand and you're working on your own songs, but you mentioned that you're a film composer now. So is this something you want to continue to do?
Yes. Oh my gosh, I just thought of a secret, and I'm not allowed to share it, but it's still in regards to film composing. Hint, hint. But yeah, definitely. There's gonna be more projects, more films to compose for. I'm excited. It's a big role, but dang, I'm honored.
Absolutely. And it's not an easy job at all. Not an easy job, there's a lot to consider. You really have to make sure that the story is told really well through music. There's just so many factors that go into it. So, yeah, I want to go back to you and ask about, your music artistry and, talking about your followers and your fan base. What would you like to share to your fans and listeners who are inspired by your music and your journey as an artist?
There's a song that I wrote with Ryan Radaza, and there's a line in the bridge, and it's still one of my favorite lines that I've written, and it says, "When the battle raise its sword, bravery is my accord." And
Wow.
what that means is that in life, you will find yourself at the edge of a cliff, and what's underneath the cliff are clouds just covering what you are going to land into. You don't know if you're gonna hit more cliffs, more rocks, or maybe there's water that's going to catch you. But you will be faced with a decision for you to stay in the cliff or jump off, regardless of the fear that you feel. And in life, there will be decisions that will get your heart racing. It will start flowing your blood. It's either a decision to start a business, a decision to start releasing your songs. I don't know, whatever it is, asking the girl out, taking the exam. It's gonna race your heart. And the right decision there is not for you to wait until fear subsides before you take upon the action. That is not what this is all about. It's about you having the courage to act upon the decision despite feeling the fear. So, when the battle raise its sword, bravery is my accord.
Beautiful. And I'm completely motivated right now. I'm extremely motivated, and I just really want to thank you, Rasec, for being a guest again for the Howl as always, and just sharing your story and a lot of insights in the music industry, and also lessons you've taught many people, the audiences we have. So yeah, last things last, I want to give the floor to you, Rasec. Shout out upcoming stuff that's coming out maybe, or just simply your social media platforms.
Yeah. Shout out to the amazing friends that I am surrounded with. Shout out to you, Guantanamo, Nick, Nicole, Seth, Clarence, Alex, M. Dang, so many amazing people that I could really think of. But I hang out with you guys a lot. I have you here in my house a lot. You know who you are. I'm really thank you for the friendship and the environment that you provide for me. And most importantly, my family too, which includes my wife. She has been such an amazing big support in my life. She gives me peace in this world that is so chaotic, and I get to go out and face all the battles that I have to face out in the world, because I know I am coming home to peace and stillness at home where my wife is providing for me. And man, I don't, years ago I don't get to say things like that. I've also been lonely, I've also been lost. So if you are someone who is going through that, please, man, there's no advice I can give you, but only a reminder. And that reminder is for you to just keep going, because I promise you, life will reveal its beauty to you. So let the season rain on you, let the battle wound you, but you will heal and you will become a much stronger person. So don't stop.
Absolutely. And thank you, Rasec, for that wonderful message. And I hope that the listeners really take that and really never give up on their passions and dreams. So thank you again, Rasec, for being a guest on the show. And thank you for the listeners of The Howl. And I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.